Right now in this country, Black students are more likely to be suspended, more likely to be labeled special ed, and less likely to be placed in advanced classes. We also see consistent achievement gaps, gaps that show up across states, districts, and generations. The question isn't whether Black kids can learn. The real question is, what was this education system actually built to do? And who was it built for? I'm Shannon.
And I'm Lisa.
And KK's here too. And you're listening to Blacktivities,
A celebration of all things Black.
Black culture, Black history,
Black perspectives, and Black panache.
Celebrating our Blackness doesn't mean exclusion.
Everybody's invited, but you gotta come in and have a seat.
So let the Blacktivities begin. Welcome to Blacktivities, where we love to celebrate Blackness, share our authentic experiences as Black women, and connect Black history to what we're living through right now. Can y'all believe that this is season 8 of Blacktivities?
Dance like shit.
Hey! Yep. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yes.
We're back.
Amazing.
Yes, we're back. Season 7 was kind of hard for me because I've been going through like some issues with burnout. It's a lot of things happening in my personal life. And I feel like with season 7, I feel like my creativity was stifled a little bit. And I felt like the quality of what we typically do kind of suffered. So I'm looking forward to getting back to what we do in season 8.
To hear you say that, considering anytime I do interact with you guys, I learn something new. And I can understand the burnout. Like as a creative, I kind of have that issue as well sometimes. And that's normal. That is normal. But at the end of the day, just you showing up, sometimes for people, that's enough. So thank you for that.
Sometimes I feel like that's all we could do last season because I feel like all of us were going through so much. And yeah, it's hard to be creative when you are stressed out.
Let me tell y'all, the listeners, again, yes, we all went through something, but baby, that was a time or two. I just had to sit here and cry with them, baby. I was going through it. So again, just make sure you're there for somebody, even if they just vent, and you ain't got to give them, an answer all the time. Just listen to people because you never know that could be like the determining factor on their next move. Just having somebody to listen, it helps.
Yeah, y'all don't know. Sometimes it was like crying, tears, dry that stuff up, and then press record.
Ask y'all a question though. When y'all in the car and y'all having a breakdown, what's that song that, you put on? Because I know most people, you got to put a song on. Do y'all do that? Or is it just me? KK looking at it like, she looking very judgmental right now.
That's not judgment.
Yeah.
I don't
Do
put
y'all
a
have that
song
song?
on.
No? Okay,
I
I'm a
do
music
that.
head.
I
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a gospel song for me.
It's a
though.
gospel song? Okay.
Yep, I'm in there crying and praying.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
know. It could be like a situation, something happened at work, and I'll put on Fantasia. If you don't want me, then don't talk to me. It ain't got nothing to do. And I'm just sitting there crying. Go ahead and free yourself. So I'm sorry.
See, for me, that's part of my issue is I don't cry enough. And I have not
It's okay.
cried more than I cried this last year. Usually it's in conversation. So
Mhm.
it's not usually me breaking down by myself. That's the exception. Usually I'm like telling somebody because it has overwhelmed me and I'm in conversation. And
Mhm.
that's usually when my voice will start to break or something like that. But I have friends who tell me, girl, I cry every day. And I'm like, I don't have time to cry. I just don't. I probably don't cry enough. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That
I'm the
makes sense.
opposite. I cry all the time. Even like how I'm really mad is I'm crying. Like,
Facts.
yeah.
Facts. And people
Um,
mistake that when you're crying, though. They be like, oh, she weak. No, I'm just crying because
No.
I know I can't go to jail
no.
because I'm going to go to jail if I react a certain way. So just leave me alone. Let me
Yeah.
cry.
Yep.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. But thank y'all. Hey, listeners. Welcome back.
Well, we don't just talk about stuff from the perspective of what we think. This is about facts over feelings. So, if that's what you're looking for, go ahead and hit subscribe because this season is built for people who want context, not just commentary. Before we get into it, do y'all have any updates? What's been going on with y'all?
So for me, I'm still trying to find that creative, like, uh, to where I am booking more shows. So I am booking a couple shows here and there locally as a poet. And then also I'm trying to tap into like my actual career. I have a financial background. So me becoming licensed, that way I can talk to more people about their future, retirement, investments, and making sure they have money set aside for generational wealth is my goal. And that's what I've been working towards. So
I love to hear that because I saw a post where you said you were not going to do poetry anymore, and that made me
yeah,
sad.
yeah, I was going through it. I was going through it. But it's hard because and that'll be a separate episode or something we can tap into. It's just about black people and being creatives. People don't take you serious and they want you to do shit for free all the time. All the time. And don't get
Mhm.
me wrong, I will volunteer for something in a minute, but when you do stuff and they say they're gonna pay you and you don't, and then they don't take you serious. And then another thing too is people have their own groups on who they want, and because you're not that one that's in or entertaining that group, sometimes you get left out. So it was a
Mhm.
lot for me to realize, okay, no matter what group or what's going on, at the end of the day, the things that I write is me and how I feel, and it comes from the heart. And this is Mona Lisa, the poet. So me doing weak shit like posting that I'm never gonna perform again, that was lame. Do you know how many people went off on me and DM'd me and text me and was like, "What is you talking about? Delete that mess." So
That mean they love you.
thanks Shay
Yep.
Boogie for putting me on blast. But I do have 2 shows booked for February. Black History, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Black History Month, and I'm
Yay.
I'm kinda happy about that, so yes. But yeah, that's just me. That's what I'm working toward.
KK, what about you?
So I have been doing what a lot of the 92% have been doing and just checking my psychological safety, my mental health, and not doing as much as before, particularly when it comes to these political lanes. I've been, I moved, I've been doing more in my place and all the things, um, going out to dinner and hanging out, a lot of things that I enjoy doing that are just good for you mentally. Um, you know, spending time in open space. There's a lot of open space here and just really doing that, getting some vitamin C and this melanin, just all of the things that you can do to protect yourself and protect your mental health. I've been trying to get more of that in than anything because um, there's a lot that I think about that I want to do, that I want to jump into. I have some poetry events coming up. And I just have other things that are on the agenda, but further down. And so I'm spacing them out more and just taking my time. I think a lot of us who have been just out in the streets and doing this work and been vocal in the past, it's difficult to be still, but I understand the reason behind it. So I'm like, all right, I'll step back, I'll fall back, I'll be still. But it's not easy because you see so much and you want to react and respond, but I don't. And that's been, I guess, an accomplishment in and of itself. And when it's time to move as a community, I'll be moving in my own way.
That's great. And
Yeah.
that's actually on my to-do list because when I do see you post like different events, or especially if you're hosting something, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be a part of that so bad. So actually going to visit her, going to her area, I know I told you this before, that's on my to-do list.
You
And
better.
guys, I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm doing it anyway. So yes, when KK says she been minding her own business and obtaining her vitamin C, baby,
I heard vitamin D.
I didn't say that.
I should have said vitamin D. Well, how about is vitamin C and D? How about
Okay.
that?
She
Little
has.
vitamin D ain't bad
She
either.
has. She has. Respectfully, KK has been in the streets respectfully, but positive though. Positive is during the daytime. Okay. But I seen it. If y'all ain't seen it, I seen it. And all I'm gonna tell y'all is, baby, yes. I had to do my little eye a little bit. That's how serious it is. Cause this girl, yes, ma'am. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna put you out there too much. But Jesus, shabba yes. I synced the outfits, but go ahead. That's it. All right, what about you? Come on, Shay. What you got?
Come on, girl.
Same old thing, different day.
Yeah.
Everything
yeah.
is stressing me out.
Mhm.
Basically, nothing drastic has changed. Nothing big has happened. I'm over here like surviving,
Mhm.
basically.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm hoping things get better over this year, but we'll see what happens.
All we got to do is just speak it into existence. Let's just say when things get better, because they will. As strong as, let me tell y'all, the energy that y'all bring, as strong as y'all are, baby, sky's the limit. It's coming. So I've been saying this on a regular basis. This is temporary. And I want y'all to do the same thing. Listeners, y'all do that too. Somebody piss you off at work. Okay? You ain't gonna be there forever. Say this is temporary. Your baby daddy tripping. This is temporary. Cause when them kids get older, baby, you ain't gotta answer his phone calls. It's okay. So again, just say that to yourself. This is temporary. You are in charge of you.
And I do want to say something about 2026. I came into 2026 feeling really positive. Like despite everything that we're going through as a country and beyond, I believe 2026 will be a good year. I just feel it. I feel like a lot of positivity surrounding this year. Like despite it all, well, we all know that we're not in control, that God is in control, but we also, it just has a certain vibe to me that good things are going to happen. And so that's what I'm also holding on to.
Good.
I'm glad y'all are optimistic.
There we go. All right.
I'm gonna grab some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send it all your way.
That's fine. Send me a little extra too. I'm a step away from optimism and being a crackhead. So let's go ahead.
All right. Well, let's get on with today's episode. We're talking about education. In K through 12, our kids are failing. And there's a huge achievement gap between our kids and kids of other races. There have been a lot of recent changes to a system of education that already wasn't working for us. Some of those things include book bans. We've got states that have rewritten their history curriculum and told teachers that they can't really talk about anything dealing with slavery or anything that might be deemed controversial. I know that we had to sign something saying that we would not talk about things that were controversial, and it's some kind of new law
Seriously?
in Georgia. They made it very vague. So technically, I think they could get you on a lot of things because they made it so vague, the verbiage. There's no more affirmative action. The Department of Education got stripped down and weakened. So civil rights cases are like backlogged and under-resourced. There's less access to federal funding for our kids because when we go to college, we typically can't afford it. And so we use a lot of federal funding that's kind of going out the window. States are putting in these voucher systems. But the big question is, what was the education system actually built for anyway? Because one could argue that it wasn't designed for us to succeed in the first place. So that brings us to big facts. Y'all
Ooh,
ready for the big facts?
let's go.
All right. First big facts of 2026. The public education system in the United States was designed to do three main things: to train workers, to maintain social order, and to protect existing power. It was never primarily designed to develop everybody equally. And that matters, especially for Black kids. From the beginning, Black people were excluded on purpose. During slavery, it was illegal to teach enslaved people how to read or write. Not discouraged, not frowned upon, it was straight up against the law. So, them people, they knew the assignment. Literacy meant access. It meant organizing. It meant freedom. After slavery, Black communities built their own schools during Reconstruction. They raised the money, they built the buildings, they hired their own teachers, and many of those schools got burned down or attacked. Educated Black people has always been a threat to society as some people see it because it challenges that social order. Then came segregation. Separate but equal was the phrase, but wasn't no equal. Black schools were overcrowded, underfunded, and under-resourced by policy, on purpose, by design. And when schools were legally desegregated, access to education increased, but power didn't. A lot of Black teachers and principals lost their jobs when schools were desegregated. And so even though the doors were open, Black leadership inside of schools disappeared. Curriculum also still stayed centered on white experiences. So even when Black students entered the building, there was no like redesign or anything with them in mind. Fast forward to today, the system looks different, but patterns are familiar. The original design still shapes what we see today. Modern schools still prioritize order, compliance, and conformity, and that's why discipline is such a big issue. Black students are suspended and expelled at higher rates than their peers for similar behavior. And I emphasize even when the behavior is similar, because folks want to say, well, y'all kids just don't know how to act. No, the stats say this happens for behavior that is similar in nature. When a system is built to maintain order first, difference gets treated as disruption. The same thing shows up in labeling. Black students are more likely to be placed in certain special ed categories, especially the behavior-related ones. And once a child is labeled, expectations often shift. Access shifts. Paths narrow. And that's not about ability, that's about how the system kind of sorts and categorizes students. So let's connect to what's happening right now. So we talked about it before. Across the country, there's books that are being banned, especially books about slavery, racism, and Black history. States have rewritten curriculum standards and restricted how teachers can talk about race or slavery. Controlling knowledge has always been part of maintaining power. At the same time, affirmative action in college admissions has been eliminated. That policy, the purpose of it was to offset unequal access in K through 12 education. So if you remove things like that without fixing the inequality, then you're not creating fairness, you're just reinforcing the existing gaps. We're also seeing reduced federal oversight when it comes to civil rights enforcement in schools. The Department of Education is still there, but it's been cut back. Funding has been cut back, and its ability to investigate and resolve discrimination complaints is limited. Then we got the vouchers and the school choice programs, which they try to frame like they're giving families options. But what it actually does is it takes money away from public schools. And where do our kids typically go? We typically go to public schools. Private schools aren't always held to the same accountability standards, and they're not required to serve all students, so they can basically exclude who they want to. Plus, even with a voucher, if your family ain't got it like that, then you most likely still aren't going to be able to afford to send your kids to one. So to sum it all up, our kids are navigating a system designed for order, hierarchy, and workforce prep, not equity, cultural truth, or holistic development. So when we see achievement gaps, discipline gaps, access gaps, these are all outcomes from that. Outcomes from a system that was never redesigned for the inclusion of Black children. Black kids are not incapable. They're being measured inside a structure that was never built for their success. Education wasn't built to develop Black people. It was built to train workers, protect power, and maintain order. And that's big facts.
Shut it up. That's wild.
Just want to mention before you get into that, KK, you can find a list of the links in the show notes if you want to read the facts for yourself. Also, if Big Facts was on point, then drop a comment and let us know what your thoughts about Black kids and education are.
If you disagree, come
Yeah,
on.
you might disagree.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, go ahead, KK.
Well, I was just going to say it's interesting that we're having this conversation right now in this moment, because all of the things you mentioned, the banning, the restrictions, everything like that, my thought process on it has to do with more class and caste. We were never supposed to read anyway. We were never supposed to be able to read and write. But of course, there were people who made sure that did not happen, that we do have the capability to do that. But this is, you said power and order. That is so on point, because when you think about class and caste, we don't often talk about a caste system or a class system, but we witnessed it firsthand in the beginning when we saw Elon and Trump with their buddy system. So we saw where everybody stood versus these people in this regime. And so that's who the wealth is for. That's who, furthering their kids to take what they've inherited so that the rest of us can work. It's caste and class. That's what it is. And when it comes to those things, Black folk are at the bottom of the rung of that totem pole. We're at the bottom of it. Shouldn't say totem pole, but the rung of that ladder. So we're on that bottom rung. Whereas, it's the wealthy, we know this and that. But when it comes to looking at it from a holistic perspective, that is it. It's about order, rules, all the things that you get in your job when there's this hierarchical system and somebody saying, well, leadership says this and they say that, but your voice matters. Nah. Right? They're just blowing smoke up your ass, really, because your voice really doesn't. And if you challenge the system, you become a target and you get the boot. So
true.
we know that that is not true, that it is developed for that reason, for order and compliance. but it's because at the top are those people. It's just like what we're witnessing in the government. If you look what happened to Preddy. Preddy was protecting someone. He is in a life-saving job. He's not about to take somebody's life. He saves lives. And so because he happened to be in a position where he was saying, no, this is not right, he was challenging what was in front of him. And that's what we're seeing in this case too. That's just a physical manifestation of it. We're seeing the physical manifestation of what we're talking about. It never was meant for us. We weren't supposed to read or write or anything. And because we began to elevate ourselves and find ways around the loopholes, that's where this clampdown really came from. I mean, I could go into it a lot of ways, but there are workers in our federal government with multiple degrees, many degrees, and some not. And those same people were able to become middle class because they had the opportunity to have those jobs. And when you wipe away those jobs, you're creating the Black jobs, because this is a country that's really
Oh my
on
gosh.
the low, trying to create a lower than working class group.
Preach, baby.
They don't want the Mexicans or other people coming into the country having those jobs, because they want to create a permanent underclass. I believe we've talked about that before. So the educational system was really for that compliance and order. If you don't have that compliance and order, then you're part of the underclass, the permanent underclass. And that's where people are trying to be moved like chess pieces or they're trying to move people like chess pieces into that. So
Right.
that's what we're witnessing, and it's strategic.
Very much so.
Sorry, that was a
Mic
lot.
drop.
No, baby.
Mic drop.
Exactly.
So I got a couple of questions. First question I have is the problem that schools aren't working for Black kids, or is it that we're expecting schools to do something that they were never designed to do? What do y'all think
Think
about that?
Me personally, I feel like we're expecting that schools to do something that it wasn't designed to do. Y'all just hit the nail on the head with, how what it was really meant for. And me personally, I think that with schools, it's like, especially when they had it to where everything was, segregated, and then now let's put everyone together, and then here it is, they're teaching the same things, not the truth, but the same things among everyone. And when you have intelligent Black people, it's like, okay, well, if y'all are teaching, let's dive a little bit deeper. Like, this is what it's for. And they're like, oh no, we're not gonna do that. We got to relook at this. Nope, how dare you bring that up, and they push us out. But what's crazy is with minorities being pushed out, we still find some type of way of still obtaining the knowledge, and they don't like that. So now we're in a situation to where, yes, it's either make America great again or let's be fair. And they rather put themselves in that situation to where they look ridiculous, but still they stand firm on not being fair, which is crazy. So I feel like, yes, I mean, it's great that we are powerful people, but at what point do we come band together and be like, come on, enough is enough? Like, why do we have to go so many years with this whole thing, with everything that's going on? So I, I'm gonna stop right there, but yeah. What y'all think?
I'm trying to let y'all talk because I did a lot of talking.
Yeah. That it wasn't designed. If anything, it was just designed to, okay, let's give them something to do. Let's build a foundation of, yes, let's prep them for working. Let's prep them for having somewhere to go. And if they are not at school, then we're gonna get the police involved, just as a cover up. So they was trying to build a foundation, but they wanted to a certain extent. They didn't want us to question things. They just wanted us to be the same old people that was just like, we just happy to have an opportunity. Whereas that's not how we were set up. That's not how we were taught. If we're gonna learn something, we're here to learn. So teach us. And
That
not
is an attitude that we should be grateful for every opportunity that we get and just take
right.
it.
And it's not just, and I don't want to just put it on just like what the government and what, like the Department of Education, what it is. It's on us as people too. So if we're sending our kids to school, it's our responsibility. Yes, I understand you have to work. I understand you have responsibilities. Life be lifing. But it's still important if we want our kids to actually be somebody. We need to be asking what type of homework they did. How was their day? Who was that person that was talking crazy to you at lunch? Just ask basic questions, inquire. Even open-ended questions. That's one thing that I used to love to do with my kids is yes, it's good to ask them how was their day, but ask open-ended question. It could be as simple as what's something that made you smile at school? Or tell me something you learned today. And they actually sitting like, dang, what did I learn today? And then they're breaking down math. And then they were like, well, we are looking at, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, but why they name, why I gotta be Sally? Like just basic stuff. We gotta talk to our children and let them know that, hey, we're involved. Go to school, go to the school, talk to their teachers and not just talk to them when something happened with your kid. Okay. And don't go up to that damn school with a bonnet and a robe on. Jesus. Girl. But anyway, it's just us. It's us. We also need to be involved. We also need to ask questions and don't just leave it up to the teachers to do all the teaching, baby. Because sometimes, yes, the teachers, they're going to base it. They're going to give them what they need to know, the foundations of life, right? And we're in history and all of that. But it's on us to contribute to the common sense. It's on us to talk about the small things. There are certain things that aren't taught in schools. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we're teaching our children that. That way they can connect what they learn at school versus home and be the best human being they can be. So that's how I feel
I
about that.
just wanna say one real quick thing behind that.
Yes.
I think that's 100% true, and that's why it's important for us to also consider how we form our families,
Mm-hmm.
because our
Ooh,
families were the nucleus of our success, and you can't just be out here haphazard, you know, having
Kids
having
by anybody.
creating families that you can't sustain. It has to be sustainable. And even if you feel out of control, we have multiple ways of communicating: text message, emails, all of the things that our parents and grandparents didn't have. So you have to think about things. The family is what makes us strong. And so we have to consider our family. Like you said, Shan, you just can't be out here just doing whatever
you know what?
because you need help and you need assistance. A woman was just arrested for going to work. Her son was 8. She had a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old. They arrested her, took her children, and she has a $300,000 bond. She was not partying. She was not hanging out. She went to work and left that baby with them other kids. And he was trying to figure out if somebody could help him so they don't fall off the bed so that he could go to school. And this is what I'm talking about. He was trying to do what he was supposed to do. Mama was trying to do what she was supposed to do. But we have to think about how we are setting up our families so that we can successfully exist in the school system and the systems that have been set up for us. If you cannot exist within that, then find a way to exist without it. I'm not saying we all have to do everything the same way or follow the same path. I'm not saying that by any means. Because if she was financially independent and didn't have to think about that, then she wouldn't have. She wouldn't have been in that, she wouldn't have had to think about that. But that's the situation she was in, and it caused problems. So we have to think about that. And we also have to think about when we set these, our families up, Who are our resources? We can no longer
Yes.
negate the village. We cannot just be like, don't talk to my child, don't do this, don't do that, because we need each other more than ever now. And we need to tap back into the village thinking. So
Yeah.
that's sorry, Sharon.
No, I agree. The whole village, like I really, 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 really hope that we can bring back the whole it takes a village.
You
And
need a
like you said,
village.
yeah, you need especially nowadays, you need a village. And I agree with you is we have to pay more attention of how we're setting up our families. And I hope somebody listening to this ain't taking this the wrong way. We're not talking about you at all. But the same way you go to the club and you buy a drink and you watching that drink and you put napkins over to make sure don't nobody insert something or put something in there against your will, you need to be protecting your coochie the same way. Okay? Because again, ain't nobody sitting here trying to judge you, make you feel any type of way. At the end of the day, a struggle is a struggle, and we all go through struggles. We all go through it. So let this be a lesson, because I've been through that. I'm not even gonna. I mean, I wish I, as a young person, would have made better decisions, but there was a point in my life where I was a single mom, and I had to make it happen. This man up here, my daddy, it was just like I knew I had the option to where I could have called my daddy, but it's like I decided not to and I sucked it up. It was like I gotta figure this out for myself because this is the decision that I chose. And before he passed away, we had a deep conversation and I told him stuff that I was sitting there snotting and everything. He was like, "Why didn't you call me?" I'm like, "I just had to show you I could do it." Because again, I didn't want to let them down. This is a bed I made and I had to lay in it. So again, with people, the listeners, don't take it the wrong way. Pay attention to one, your blessings and also your lessons. And then make sure you're instilling that into your children that way they're not repeating that cycle. Because I told my kids, baby, and I think I've said this before, long as you get your degree, get your house, and get you a car, I don't give a damn what you do after you graduate college. If you graduate college, you decide you want to be a stripper in Magic City, baby, do you. Do you, boo boo? Because one, I did my job and I did what I was supposed to do. So you have that knowledge. So just make sure you take the financial learnings that you have obtained and use that to this new degree or this new job that you have. Because again, it's all about living and learning. So let me
I'm trying
calm
to keep
down.
mine off the pole, but um
Shannon, when yours get older, baby, they're gonna do stuff and you're gonna be like, Lord Jesus, but there ain't shit you can do because they grown. All you can do is just tell them that's not ideal.
I will cross that when I get there.
Okay, that's fine. But you need to be mentally thinking about that right now. That's all I'm gonna say. Because baby, I'm gonna tell you, our children are beautiful. But it's gonna be one day that she or one of your kids gonna come down there with an outfit on that you just like absolutely not. And they're gonna look at you like, baby, I paid for this with my own funds. I listened to what you said. I'm gonna make sure I'm safe. My phone is charged up, and I'm going with people you know. And it ain't nothing you're gonna be able to say.
I
You can't
know.
shut them
I
down.
know. I know.
So you just gotta instill that knowledge in them early. That common sense.
Yep.
Do it early.
That's why we're working on it now.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
And I used my village when I needed it. I didn't abuse it. That's one thing too. Don't abuse your village. Because let me
Yeah.
tell you something. Ain't nowhere in the world me and my best friend Brittany Deshae Dunn would have been able to drop our children off at my mama's house just so we could run the club. My mama and my granny said, absolutely not. Don't play with me. So do not abuse your village. So, but yeah, take advantage of it.
Well, my
Positivity.
thoughts are that, you know, none of these systems were designed for us, really. So you have to find a way to exist within the system. I think I'm kind of in the education system, so but my philosophy might be a little bit different than other teachers because I feel like it's part of my responsibility is not just teaching kids the content knowledge, but also teaching them how to become people who think for themselves and people who um treat other people with respect and, just teaching them how to be good human beings.
Right.
I feel like
I
that's
agree.
part of my job as
I
well,
agree.
not
I
just the
agree.
content knowledge. So I think you go to school and you learn the stuff, the content that they teach you. But I think as parents, like you guys have been saying, there are things that we have to teach them that they're not going to get at school. There's stuff about their self esteem that they might not get at school. And so we have to build that esteem at home. So if education was designed to maintain order and produce workers, should we still treat traditional schooling as the primary path to success? Do you think we need alternatives?
Now, I feel like the when you're referring to alternatives, because when I hear that like alternatives, I'm thinking of additional resources when it comes to schools, additional staff or programs or anything of that nature, where I feel like if parents and other people in the community are involved, could that be a part of the alternative that you're referring to?
Well, what I mean is like, I feel like I don't know if it was a generational thing or if it's just my family because I'm from a family of educators, but I feel like our generation, we were all told you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college, and you're going to get a degree or whatever. And maybe that was because, like, a lot of the generation before us, they never had the opportunity to get a
Right.
degree.
I agree.
Um, but do you think that that should still be the primary path to success, or do you think that we should be looking at some other options?
As much as I want to say that, yes, every household should have that to where we're looking at our kids and saying this is not an option. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, I did. My parents did that. They said, ideally, yes, we want you to go to college. We want you to do all of this. But of course, once people get to a certain age, they make their own choices. But again, the reason for me saying lessons is understanding the lessons that we learned. It made me look at my own children and tell them that the standard is you obtaining education, you obtaining something that at the end of the day, people can say whatever they want to say about you. But one thing they cannot change is that you're educated and you have the certificate to prove it. You put in that time. And with you putting in that time for is going to school, it's not only you obtaining the education, but that what I notice my daughters is they're keeping up with their own schedule. So it comes with a whole lot of things to where, okay, they know I still have to go to work. I still have these certain bills that I have to pay. And that's another thing I feel like we should talk about too is supporting our children financially as well. If we're giving them that standard of you need to obtain education and not throwing them out at 18 and saying, oh, when you turn 18, you getting out of here. That's just me personally me me personally, I feel like we shouldn't do that. But I do think that lessons are important, and for me, the standard should be, yes, you need to get as much education and schooling as possible. Now, y'all did mention too that there are a lot of jobs to where it doesn't require education. Okay, there's like trade schools, and there are people in the US government who has no experience at all. Okay. I'm sorry, I had to say it, who have no experience at all that are able to get those opportunities. But us, with our skin tone, we may not be subject to those opportunities, hence why we do have to work harder at times. So I'm going to go back with I think it is important that we do instill education and letting our young ones know that this is an expectation. Still, you know what you want to do, but I feel like you'll be better off if you did have this, and it'll it'll assist with you building your foundation. So that's just my
So
opinion.
I love that because I do think that should be foundational. But I also when you use the word primary, um, it can be a different type of education, right?
Okay. Yes.
Trade school is an education. It is a form of education,
Yes.
very lucrative, mind you.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I could
Because
say some
let me
stuff, but
tell you
I'm gonna
something.
tell y'all later about these tradesmen. So
See, I told y'all.
I'm just saying trades are lucrative, right? So, but there are many, many options in terms. Okay, you know, when we were talking about how the education system wasn't developed for us, it was developed for us to be workers. However, we have children who have an entrepreneurial spirit in their
Mm-hmm.
genes. It's genetic in some people. I have some friends who are saying, you know, this is the business I want to do, or that's, and I'm like, your family has never worked for anybody. They've been doing this business. It's a family business. And you are just doing a different family business. It still doesn't diminish your entrepreneurial spirit. Some
Mm-hmm.
people are born with that. Some
Mm-hmm.
people's families have never punched in on a clock because they've been able to do whatever it is they're trained to do.
Goals. I had to go to the mic. I had to go to my mic. Goals.
But I always use as an example, and there was somebody I saw recently, but it escapes me. But one of the other examples that I use is I don't know if you've heard of the singer John Mayer. But John Mayer talked about how growing up, he knew from like 8 years old what he wanted to do. And he said it was such a struggle for his mom to get him through school. Now, this is, you know, clearly he's not black, but there we have our own children who do other things that they are excited about. That's part of that's woven within their DNA already from birth. You know, within their mother's womb, this gift has been woven in there. It's what they were designed to do. And yes, legally we have to get them through school. And that was the thing with his mom. John Mayer was like, I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to school. What was the point of me and going to school? And then I watched the Eddie Murphy documentary, which was
Really
pretty
good.
good. It was
Yes,
Yeah, that
that
good.
was
was
good.
good.
Yeah, and he remember when he talked about being 13 and he would watch TV and he liked the movies with the characters and the big full face makeup, and he was like, I'm going to be famous one day. And he literally spoke that into existence, and now he's top tier. Top
Mm-hmm.
tier. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get no better than Eddie. He's done more movies, had more success, and all of the people who were commenting about him were fans of him because he at some point had this thing in him and this is what he was going to do. This is just a couple of examples, but our kids are just as smart, they're just as gifted, they're just as talented, just as beautiful. I mean, y'all got beautiful kids. My God, the camera
Don't
loves
tell them
them.
that.
You know?
The fuck?
It's true though. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, if there were things that they wanted to do that was outside of education, we just have to figure out how to encourage it because I think about part of my family is Filipino relatives in my family. And, you know, it was like, no, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And that's that. And if you oppose that, then it's problematic. So, by the way, I'm not biracial and I'm not Filipino. I remember you sent me that question. Karen, they think you're I'm not. I'm black. But I'm just saying that by marriage, you know, there are folks in my family and therefore there are children that I'm related to that have my blood, my black blood. But I bring this up because culturally we've all been told that there are these fine lines, but with social media, think about Kai Cenat, think about I Speed, and he's all the way in Africa, touring Africa, this kid is 21 years old. 21, money no limit for him. And he's all over Africa having an experience that some of us can only dream of. You know,
Facts.
Kai is so successful. You know, there are different avenues now. These are streamers who are doing this. So our
Mm-hmm.
kids not only have entertainment, They not only have trades, like there are other options. And so it's really just a matter of when we form our families, when we're thinking about our kids, I love how you said, ask certain questions, ask open ended questions, get the ball rolling, get them to thinking about
Mhm.
it because who knows what they're going to come into. Maybe one will do a trade, maybe one will follow education, maybe another will do the social media route, but the world is open to different opportunities. We gotta have some that know how to create AI now and
No
how to
They
manage
said
kidding.
it's gonna
AI.
replace all of us. So
There you go. We gotta have some behind the scenes that know how to make that happen and make that like, how do you navigate it? I don't have a clue, but we
yeah.
gotta have kids who do.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is true. This is true.
To both of y'all's points, I do feel like I want, at least for my kids, the standard is at least to have a bachelor's degree. Just for that basis. And also because I believe when you go to college, like you learn how to be more independent. Like you're not in your parents' house and you learn more about life just going to college. But I don't
You
mind
trying to
then.
kick your kids out? All right, y'all.
No.
18, go to school,
No, they
get
need to go
out.
to college and like experience college. Um, but also I think that you do have to pay attention to your kids and what their natural giftedness is and do things to nurture that.
Mhm.
Like my
Because
little girl, she is clearly like artistically gifted. She's always doing all kind of art projects, making stuff out of stuff that you typically wouldn't make things out of. She drew something the other day and she came and showed it to us. I was like, I said, "Did you trace that?" And she was like, "No, I watched a video and I did this." And I said,
hey, real talk, I did the same thing to my youngest daughter. I it was for a while, I would see, like, different stuff. Now the okay, in my defense, she did have a picture that one of her friends at school gave her, and it was nice. It was like a anime, like, sword, like, thing. I was like, "Okay, this is tight." So, I started seeing little pictures, like, papers around the house, and I'm just sitting here like, "Okay." So, I seen one, it was like a black, like, female samurai, like, thing, but it was a black female. And
mm.
I'm like, I said, "Oh, your friend gave you this?" She looked at me, she was like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, who gave you that?" She said she said, "I drew that." She was looking at me like if she could have said, I know for a fact. She was like, "The fuck?" But from there, I just watched her. She made it was all the Amazon packages that be come in the cardboard boxes. I sat here and watched this girl make a large cardboard dragon. And I'm just
Mm,
sitting here amazed. So I agree with you on that. That's
yeah.
why her dad and I, we kind of teamed up at his house. She has a art desk on the side of his living room. There's an art desk. He put like this little lamp up there to where if all the lights on, she could turn her little lamp on. And he
Yep.
bought all kind of paints. Girl, do you know how many alcohol mark? I ain't never heard of no alcohol markers. Sniffing them like, is this safe? Like, she has so much stuff up there. So I agree with you because you never know what that will push them into.
Yeah.
And then they could turn around one day and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm over it." But you
Yeah.
never know. So I agree with you, Shannon, on that. I'm going through the same thing.
All right, we got to keep it pushing.
Okay.
What's one thing that you had to learn after school that school never prepared you for?
Mm, I can answer this one. And that's the probably the reason why I'm in the field that I am now, finances. I feel like we
Mm,
didn't have anybody talking about the basic foundations of one, saving money. Whenever I do sit with customers and clients at my job, I let them know what my overall is, which is to make sure that I am assisting them with the basics of just saving money, but also making sure they understand far more to build what they currently have. So it's fascinating the older crowd who don't even know what a CD is. And I say to myself, if I had somebody talking to me about the importance of saving money, establishing credit, and possibly utilizing certificate of deposits or time accounts or CDs, I would be in a better situation financially than I am now. So that's why I made it my personal goal of sitting with people and talking about just basic finances and utilizing what the bank have to your advantage, because there's a lot of people that do have money that don't even know what it is. So yeah,
I need to
that's me
chat with you
financial.
about finances.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm thinking
ma'am.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. But yeah, for me, finances. Say just basic savings, just that. Just the basics.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Well, one is Black history.
Mm,
I've learned a lot of Black history after school. Another is I don't really feel like when I came out of school and I came out of college that I was prepared to do life.
mm,
Like I learned a lot of book knowledge, but I feel like the book knowledge did not prepare me to actually live it and do it. It was the experience that was more so a teacher.
mm.
And I'm still trying
Okay.
to figure things out.
So I can't really pinpoint anything that I learned later. Um, what I what I let me just backtrack. That I wasn't prepared for through education. I can't pinpoint something that education did not prepare me for. What I can say is what I did learn and have learned later on in life is that continuous learning is a thing, and you don't have to know it all. This whole life is a journey of educating yourself in one way or another. You talked about life, you talked about finance. This whole journey is really about learning. It's all a part of it. And I think I am from a lineage and a mindset that you learn it and then you go out there and you put it into action, right? Knowing what you know. But I have people around me who are in their 20s
Mhm.
and I learn from them just as much as they learn from me, and I love it. And I think that's what keeps me going. Um you know, it's like the kids keep you going. They keep you updated on things. They help you with things. But educating and learning and discovery is big for me. Discovery and a sense of wonder with my life has been something that I could never learn through education. I just developed it and learned it later on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You never stop learning. And I think
Mm-mm.
that
Nope.
you can learn something from anybody.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
true.
All right, Lisa, you got
All
a
right.
piece?
Yes, ma'am. It's untitled, but I think y'all might enjoy it. I'm black. You black. We all black. Super black. Your mama and granny don't play black. Common sense replacing tints and skin tones smirk with grimace black. Purple figure lord, my high almighty, leaving them puzzled white, lacking gems and martyr. I walk with a limp intentionally, based on a way remembrance of the killer bees sold 50 gold thing. That's why I wear my bracelets. See, blacksmith reminding of history and remembering emotions are important to stay woke. It's our duty to be snooty and learn the intentions, Jack. For we are kings and queens, and they hate when we call a spade black. Knowledge holding, they wash our struggle and leave us hanging on a dish rack. So it's me, it's us, buff, both of us. More motivation for you to tag the nation on Blacktivities mutations. We black. Thank y'all.
Yes, we black up in here.
All right, like they say in church, we getting ready to close. But first, what is your call to action for the culture?
My call to action is the basics: stay woke, but then also understand it's our personal responsibilities on contributing to just our future generation. So do what what we're suggesting, especially when it comes to our children. You gotta just be more involved.
KK?
My call to action for the community is to, yes, stay woke because we created that. That's for us.
Yep.
Yes, stay woke, but within that awokeness to stay vigilant when it comes to our children, the next generation, and how we develop our families, what we really want our families to look like. We need to vet people. We need to vet our circumstances and our situations and really become more cognizant of things and be more thoughtful in how we move. And that way they can be more thoughtful in how they move because they learn from us. This system wasn't designed for us, but that doesn't mean we can't move and be strategic within it.
Facts.
Well, I come from a line of very educated Black people. My dad has a master's, my mom has a doctorate. Even my grandfather had a master's degree, which is rare, I think, for our community. I have a master's degree. So education has given me a lot, but I've busted my butt and I've had to assimilate. I am part of the education system, so I still value the opportunity to be educated. I think we should be using it as a tool. I think we need to learn the system because when you get out there in the broader world, you still have to know how to play that game. So use those skills to get where you need to be and then put other people, our people, on game. Also, I think we need to be an advocate for our kids. So you need to be in contact with your kids' teachers, pay attention to what they're being taught. If you don't, they're going to get left behind because that is like where I see a gap. Like other cultures, they really advocate for their kids in the classroom, and that makes a huge difference.
Just facts.
We know y'all are out there, but we want to build a community that actually talks back. So here's what we're asking you to do. First, we're asking you comment on this episode and tell us what's something that you didn't learn in school that you had to learn later. We're also calling you to subscribe on YouTube. If this conversation matters to you, subscribe. Also, share this episode with somebody who's raising kids, teaching kids, or still kind of trying to figure out their whole experience with school and education. Until we meet again,
Just king and queens keep doing big things. Let's go.